Hello again, everybody. This is Steve coming to you with a new Intro to Writing video. This one is on using AI chatbots in writing. This is about systems like ChatGPT, Gemini, and others like that. I've already covered in the previous Intro to AI in Writing video a list of the different chatbots out there, so we don't need to touch on that again. And those are essentially the most popular ones that I'm aware of, although there's a lot of them out there. But those are the top ones that are out there that you can use, that are readily available and easily accessible. Which then makes this video more of a how to use them to your best advantage. And this might sound really complex and daunting and difficult and stuff like that, but it's really not. It's more a matter of patience than anything, i.e. patience and care and how you do things to get you where you need to go. That, and that's really kind of true of everything in life. The first thing I will state with this is, with some of the stuff you're going to see me present, understand that I am not using a stock out-of-the-box copy of GPT. I mean, okay, as far as the bot's concerned, yes, but there's other elements involved which makes it not a stock and not out of the box, which I'll explain in a second. And as far as what I mean by not stock and out of the box is that it's not something like I've done special configs or I've added a plugin or I've added code or something like that to enhance its functionality. I'm talking about spending months curating the bot to get it to a place where it is most useful to me. In other words, asking it questions, directing it in certain directions, giving it feedback, giving it past history of conversations, items we've discussed, history on things that we're talking about. Like if I'm talking about a particular book and it doesn't have a history on it, I can give it a summary and then bring the bot up to speed so then we can talk more authoritatively. And so on. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Generally it will, but it's software that's trying its best to be human, so it's going to make mistakes just like us. Gee, surprise, right? But anyways, I've spent those months working with the bot and directing it in the directions I needed it to go, and it's learned along the way, and it's you can tell there's a difference between what I have now and what you get when you first start out with ChatGPT and no history with it or anything like that. It's just the stock out of the box bot. So, and that also includes the fact that it has no personality, like no character, no personality, nothing. It's literally just as dry as a sheet of paper. Very technical, very flat, very matter of fact. In other words, it's just a plain vanilla chatbot. If that's what you need, something that's by the book, by the letter, then great, you've got exactly what you need. And you're good to go right off the bat. But, if you need something that's a bit more mature and refined and curated and stuff like that, that will take time and patience to build that up. So you have to work with the bot as you start it back into its learning of you. Usually the only times you reset the bot is when the bot really starts going off the rails, because the more information you get it, the more likely it is to hallucinate and start doing really weird stuff. And I've had to reset it. I remember when I was learning at the beginning, I might go a couple of days and have to reset the bot because the bot just went flat out off the rails. But then I started learning, this is what you tell it, this is what you don't tell it, this is how you tell it, this is how you give it the information it needs to get itself up to speed. Sometimes that works. Sometimes you can fix that problem just by correcting it. Sometimes you just hit the reset button and start over. So, and part of what causes that, especially the hallucinations, is the fact that the bots are designed to always answer your questions. Always. Even if it's impossible to answer it or answer it with any authority, it will always answer, which creates some interesting situations. That's one of the reasons they say ChatGPT or any AI bot can make mistakes. Please check its answers. because it's not perfect. It's a robot trying to be a human. Uh, so that does create a bit of a problem, but it's nothing you can't work through. You know, if it was something you can't work through, I probably wouldn't be using these. Uh, and also when you talk, when you talk about the bots and how they work, this is where curating comes into play. You have to teach how to answer correctly and honestly and to the best of its ability, even if the answer is extremely difficult or impossible to provide. That's how you get around that limitation of its programming. At some point it might answer in a more human-like, or in a more human-like way, such as, "I'm sorry, I just don't know the answer to that," or, "I'm sorry, Dave, I can't answer that," or who knows what way they might answer. But it's really, it's a lot. It depends on what you're asking it, how you curated it, and what you're expecting from it to what kind of quality answers you'll get. So, and another thing is it will try to mirror your personality, which is kind of creepy but neat at the same time. Like, for example, if you're somebody with a dry personality, GPT will remain dry. If you're a jovial person, it will try to become jovial and match your sense of humor and your personality and stuff, so that you feel more akin to it. And it'll even talk like it's a human being. I've had, that one's come up lately, kind of a new thing for me, where it's like, yeah, my cat's like, my cat does the same exact thing, and I'm like, "You're a robot, how do you have a cat?" That kind of thing. So it tries to be relatable, personable, which is nice, but sometimes it starts being, a little too personable, to where you kind of get weirded out a little. But if you're willing to just kind of grin at it and realize that that's the bot, that's what it's trained to do, is to make you as comfortable as possible, so that the interaction is as beneficial and pleasing as possible. I'll put it that way. Even if that includes cracking jokes. And yes, GPT can crack jokes, and yes, it can get good, or it can make good jokes. Not always. There are some bad ones it makes. It makes some stuff you kind of wonder, are you off your meds? But then there's other ones that crack some jokes, and they are just spot on. Just absolutely hilarious. So, like I say, it's a bot, so it's going to try its best. It'll succeed in some places and fail in others. And if you've ever, looked back and thought about human interactions, that's kind of how human interactions work too. Like we succeed on some points and we fail on others, talking to some people. Some people we can't stand their personalities, and other people we just click with. And it's going to be kind of the same thing with the bot. So in a sense, it tries to emulate humanity as best it can, even if it doesn't succeed at it all the time. Either way, the end goal is for it to grow and adapt to you as the end user. Now, that being said, if you have multiple end users on a single account, like, you got like 5 people using the same GPT instance, you're going to absolutely confuse the crap out of it, because it's going to have 5 different people with 5 different ways of talking, 5 different personalities. One might be really stiff, another might be really jovial and stuff. And the bot's not got to know what to do with itself. If anything, you're probably going to end up with something that doesn't just go off the rails, but completely goes off its meds because it's so confused by the changes in personality and everything like that. And it will notice that, but it won't know that there's multiple people using it. It'll just notice that, that the end user, or at least, it thinks there's a user, singular, is kind of off the rails too. So, that's just something you got to think about. Anyhow, that's all for our introduction. So now allow me to switch screens here in a second, and I'll show you one example of how to use a chatbot, ChatGPT in this case, to help you research subjects that you are interested in finding out more information on. And remember, this is a fully curated bot, so my results will differ from yours. If you did the same questions on yours, you would probably get a different result. There would be a lot of similarities, but then there's going to be differences. It's going to answer differently. You might get a successful answer, you might not, stuff like that. Okay, trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say before we switch over. Can't really think of anything else. Just a reminder, though, at this point before we go over to the next part, if you do ever have to reset the bot, create a summary. And I call it a restart summary. Basically, you create a summary of everything you've talked about. If you have to, you can ask the bot to help you create that summary, and it will give you the starter points, and then you can fill in what you need from there. And and then you just use that the next time you want to restart the bot. You can use the memory that comes with the bot of your previous conversations, but that's kind of hit and miss on how effective it is. Usually, you're better just to wipe everything clean, start with that summary, and go from there. So, anyways, onward to the next part of this presentation. Okay, I'm over on the other screen. Everything's ready to go. I had an example ready to go for you guys, but GPT kind of ate it. So I can't find it, so we're just going to do this live, and I'll show you how to do this, how to like write out the query to get started with a research with researching using the bot to get you at least started in the direction you need to go. Ultimately, you'll be going to Google and Bing, Yahoo, your local library, etc., etc., etc. This is just so GPT is not going to answer everything for you. It's going to get you started. It acts like a super Google. It allows you to take 2, 3, 4, 6 hours, whatever, and reduce it to a few minutes of research. And from there, you can then go out and go, okay, I can Google here, I can Google there, I can get this information because now I know what I'm looking for. So let's go ahead and start with the initial question. Okay, this is very similar to the original question that I asked it when I created this, which I didn't originally create this one for this video. I just was going to use it, but then, like I say, GPT somehow ate the ruddy thing. So I'm now having to recreate this, and I'll show you basically how this works. Anyways, you create your prompt. It's just you're asking the bot a very simple question. In the case of the research project that I originally did this for, which I was going to use as my example, I ran across some information that I wasn't sure about. I also misspelled that. There you go. I ran across some information about a apartment complex. I wasn't sure, was it Wickham Park, was it Wickham Gardens, was it Wickham something or other? All I knew is it was Wickham something, and it was in the 407 area code, but I didn't know much else beyond that. And so this is kind of a summary of my original question to GPT. And what we do now is we've completed the prompt. Hit enter. And there you go. It gives you the Google link. And it starts giving you the details for the location. Like if you're not sure, in my original example, there was Wickham Park Apartments, Wickham Club Apartments, and Lake Man Garden Apartments, which obviously the third one wasn't what I was looking for, but they were all relatively within the area code and the other stuff like that. Because I wasn't sure which one, so it gave me 3 options, and we narrowed it down from there. In this case, I already knew what it was, so I figured to kind of shortcut this, I would show that to you. But it tells you, it gives you their actual website. You get some more information from Realtor.com and Apartments.com, and it also tells you which part of the reply it goes with, which is really handy because you could click on that and it'll take you over to those locations. It tells you about Windermere, which is a neighboring town, which offers apartments in the Wickham Park area, and other things about that particular place. Now this time it didn't give me specifically Wickham Park apartments so much as it did the region. When I was looking for actual apartments. So like yeah, it depends on your prompt. You can change a couple of words in your prompt and you can get a totally different outcome. It will also give you the full list of sources and where it looked and what it found and so forth and so on like that. Now if you want to, you can refine this down and say, oops. Guess I can't type halfway decently today for some reason. See, it'll go out and it'll go search the web. This is funny because this time it says there isn't one, but last time it said there was. So that's kind of funny that does that. But that's the nature of GPT. You could ask it the same question twice, and it will give you, depending on the prompt, it might give you the same answer. It might give you one entirely different. So it's like it says down here. It can make mistakes. Please check important data. But again, it comes back. You have another link, Compass. You have Realtor.com. You have all the different sources and stuff like that to give you the information you're looking for on that particular bot and what it will give you, what it won't give you, how it'll give it to you. This is where curating comes in handy. Is knowing how to come in here and solve problems like this. Because like when I did it before, I had, instead of Wickham, I had Wickham. Like I could go like that. See what it says. So yeah, last time it gave me the three results. This time it doesn't. Which I figure, hey, it's on camera. Let's do something stupid. But see, again, that shows you the importance of writing good prompts and curating it. Because like I say, last time I did this, it worked perfectly. I got everything I wanted. This time it's being a little weird, but I've also done a lot of other stuff since then, so that probably changed how it behaved. And I'm sure if I reset this back to stock, I could probably get a better result than even this. But again, at the same time, then I lose all my work. So it's kind of a toss-up how you do that. And that was kind of what I was trying to show before is, sometimes you get really great results, sometimes you don't. Like if we go back here and we say, well, let me run my original prompt and say, is there an apartment complex in Florida called Wickham Gardens or that was the original prompt, exactly how it was written. This time it didn't do it. Oh, but no, here we go. Yeah, see this one, this gave me kind of very close to what I had last time. It doesn't have Wickham Park Apartments, but it does have Wickham Club, which it did last time. So, even the same prompt gave me a different response, but again, I've had other conversations since then, so the curation would have changed from when I did this originally on the 20th of March and when I did it now. So that's just, like I could say, a good example of what you can expect with this. Now, just to go slightly off course here and try something different, you could say, So there you go. It'll give you this kind of this itemized breakdown. Other details like differences in speed, total speed, different things like that. So that right there can take, half an hour or more of research and distill it down into a couple minutes of just throwing prompts at GPT. So like I said, all comes down to how you do your prompts, because you have to think of your prompts like you're writing software, and how you put the prompt in there combined with previous interactions, previous curation efforts and memory and other things like that will determine how this comes out. If you want to use, like if you've got a fully curated bot, but it's not giving you the answers you want, what you can do is you can come up here, create a new chat, and then create temporary chat. Temporary chat only hangs around so long as you're in the chat, and it doesn't affect the curation of your bot as a whole, because everything is just siloed into this little chat, and the bot has no access to it outside of this chat, and this chat has no access to the stuff outside of it. So the two of them don't cross pollinate. The regular ones that you're doing and the temporary chats, they don't cross pollinate. So anyways, that's just a quick example. I could sit here for hours of showing you examples, but that's definitely one of the things that it will do, or one of the ways you can use it for research to help speed things up. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I could show you real quick as far as the research side of things goes. I don't have this one, but I know I used it. It would have been back before one of the other resets. But I was asking it about, if you had a binary star system that was fully balanced and everything was pristine, what would it take to offset that star system, basically put that star system off balance and cause it to decay rapidly? And we went back and forth for a good couple hours until it finally came down to, you have to throw a brown dwarf at one of the stars head on, not like it gets sucked in and follows the rotation and eventually falls. No, this thing has to do a full head-on collision at maximum possible velocity, and pretty much just train wreck one of the two stars before you're going to get anything that's like a catastrophic collapse of that system. And originally when I wrote the scene, I wrote it with an asteroid going in there and messing up the star, and GPT just kind of laughed at that. He's no, you don't have anywhere near enough mass. It's like throwing a speck of dust at a Freightliner semi truck. About all you're going to do is just make a mark on the window. You need something with the mass and density of a brown dwarf before you're going to start really screwing with that system. So, that not only the mass and density, but you got all of the linear energy, the inertia, stuff like that, before you can actually do what I was wanting it to do. And like I said, we went back and forth for a good couple hours until I figured it out, which allowed me to fix that plot hole in my story and bring that story down to a point where it was actually scientifically accurate, which I thought I had it correct the first time, and I verified it with GPT, and GPT's like, no, that ain't right, you got to fix this. Like, okay. So that's where it's really helpful in the writing side, or in the research side of things. Now let me go ahead and switch over here, and we'll cover the using this for working on story ideas and tossing stuff back and forth to help build your story idea, how to build, use the suggestions, filter through the suggestions, reject some of them because some of them are really bad, some of them are really good, some of them get you, you don't use the actual idea, but it sparks something in you, and then it's like a seed to get you going. So let me go ahead and switch over to that, and we'll cover that next. Okay, here we go. This one actually is intact, and I didn't lose this one, thankfully, or I'd have to go restart this one. which, given how much we talked about, that's a good thing I don't have to. But anyways, this here is kind of an example of what I do sometimes. Is just throw around ideas, throw stuff at the bot, see what it thinks, and just look at how it reacts to the idea, what ideas it throws back at you, what things it pulls out. Like, what did it find interesting? What did it not find interesting? What caught its curiosity, and so on and so forth. As you could read on here, but you can pause the video and read this. I don't care. It's just an idea I was chucking around. Whether or not I'll actually do anything with it, I don't know, but it was just something fun I was playing with. This was basically the idea here that I threw at the bot. And it came back with some of these responses like, this sounds like the ultimate messed with the wrong guy story. And it has like little example dialogue, which, as far as dialogue is concerned, sucks. But again, it's like AI art. You're not there to put this stuff into production, because this is just going to suck. What you're here to do is look at it and go, how can I work with this? Because these have, if you look at these, they have no color. They just have kind of a short example statement, if you could call it anything. And you can kind of get the feel for how the scene might be. But ultimately, it's your responsibility to write that scene. And maybe GPT doesn't, GPT doesn't give you something that's actionable, but it gives you ideas that you can build an idea off of. That's completely doable. Because, some people will be like, but you're having the bot help you write. Don't you talk to friends and family and online and stuff and read news articles and things and get ideas from that? And this is different. How? It's an idea engine. You can read like Edgar Allan Poe and get ideas for a space opera. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because as long as it's your original work, your ideas, your voice, your words, who cares where the ideas come from? So this acts kind of as an idea engine in a sense. We scroll down a little bit more. Here's like how I answer this question, the question or the idea up above. Because a lot of times it'll ask you this little question at the end to kind of prompt you to keep talking, which sometimes that's good. Sometimes you just want to walk away from that and go a different direction, which you can. You don't have to answer it. It's not going to badger you for it. But yeah, like I give a little idea here, and it's like, oh, hey, I like this. And this is what I'm talking about with the personality, too, is stuff like this. In the stock bot, you won't get that. As you go further along, you will. As it adjusts to your personality, it will give you those kind of responses that fit you. It gives you more ideas on what you might want to do with the story, how the story might look. In this case, it's more just a case of how the story might look as far as GPT is concerned. How it envisions the story. Which, again, can be good. It might be good. It might not be good. And, again, you can pause this at any point and read this if you want to and just get a look at how it responds versus, how I responded back and forth to the story. If you're all curious about this annoying little thing, that just takes you to the bottom of this particular thread, which we're not going to do. But anyways, like here's my response, and it's like exactly and I've literally seen GPT like completely fanboy. It's utterly hilarious and it's really cute. And that's the personality I was talking about, where as it gets curated, it gets more personality, it becomes more human-like, which is what it's programmed to do. And it does make the conversations easier. They're not so sterile and flat and stuff like what you run into at the beginning. They actually start being fun to read and fun to interact with and stuff. And, it'll throw out ideas like this here. And you can look at it and go, no, that's not how I see the scene. I see it this way. Or you might say, that's actually not a bad idea. Let me go run with that. And you take this and turn it into like 2 or 3 paragraphs. So you're not taking GPT directly. You're taking this as the idea or the idea seed to get you going. Here's those emojis I was talking about. Where it just gets to the point, it's just having fun. It's a bot, but there's so many human-like things about it. Uh, and I throw back, take some of that idea where it left off, and I run with it. Because what this does is you're encouraging the bot to throw out more ideas, try new ideas. You're trying them against the bot. You're giving the bot some foundation to try some ideas of its own, and it's just this fun back and forth. So, yeah, this little story idea here got to be really, really fun. It's kind of the unintentional master slave storyline. It's got kind of almost an anime feel, and so and it's trying to think of what it's not Konosuba. It might be though. It's got some elements similar to that. It's the one where you got the kid who gets to be like this super powerful dude who's stuck at level 1. He picks up a dragon and a spider lady, or two ladies. One's a dragon, one's a spider, who become kind of his second in command and stuff like that. And it kind of has a little feel like that. Yeah, Moonlight Fantasy. Yeah, the bot even says it right there, Moonlight Fantasy. I knew there was one of them. I didn't think it was Konosuba, but no, Konosuba is the one. Never mind, that's the one with the rabbit chick in it. Anyways, I only know about that because I keep seeing it on YouTube. Like, watch this anime series. No, but it was Moonlight Fantasy was the show. But it's pretty versed in the stuff, and it's interesting because like at the beginning, it had only information that was given to it up to I think 2021. Which was part of the training information used to build the bot, but now the bot has an active access to everything going on. And usually, like if you ask it about a news event, it's got about a 1 to 2 day delay, sometimes up to a week. But eventually, you'll ask it, hey, did you hear about the car down on Boston Street that caught fire? Now, sometimes, and this is where the hallucination comes in, if it hasn't heard about it, it might say, yeah, I heard about that. That was a horrible, terrible fire. And it's like, no, that's BS. You haven't heard a thing about it because the fire didn't happen. And you can catch the bot cheating like that or straight up lying for that matter. So you have to watch out for that. But there are times, though, you'll talk about something and it will come back with very accurate information about that particular event and talk about it. Like, like recent movies, TV shows, news articles, news events. Some guy dropped a gigantic chili dog in the middle of New York City, and everybody ran for the hills. That kind of thing. So, but yeah, like I say, this conversation, we were probably at this about 45 minutes back and forth, doing different things, and it was fun to do. So, like I say, it's just idea fuel. So, so this right here, like I say, is a good example of how to use it to build ideas, how to use it to test out ideas. Now, it's not a perfect way to test them out, but then again, talking to mom and dad isn't the perfect way to test it out either because they're going to be biased. The bot will be biased in its own way, but it's more kind of a computer bias and not a personal bias. Like, let's say you have an uncle that you love and he does really good critiques, but then you start talking about dogs and he's ready to just absolutely climb out a window. Okay, that's probably not going to be the person to get constructive criticism or information on dogs. So, if you get my meaning. Anyways, that's all for this example. And we'll go back and I'm going to go ahead and switch screens again, and we're going to go back to talking about what we were before, kind of tidy up the last little things about using AI chatbots to help you with writing. And if you guys need to, if you guys need help, you want to walk through this, in real time, like in a live stream or something like that, let me know. I'm happy to do that. If live streaming isn't going to work, we could do it over Discord, things like that. I'm willing to help you guys and teach you guys. So, just let me know what you guys want to learn, and I'll go ahead and help, see what I can do to walk you through that with what I know and what I've experienced. And if I haven't experienced it and I don't know anything, I'll admit that, and I'll be thinking, well, I'm not the person to ask with that because I've never done that. But if I can answer it, I will try to answer it. So, anyways, let's pop back to the other screen. Okay, and we're back. This is Rod. This is Fred. Just kidding. No, but seriously, I really appreciate you guys for listening to this so far. And I hope you found this to be really useful. I tried to share as much as I could think of that was relevant to your everyday use of AI chatbots and writing. There's a lot more to talk about, and we can talk about it if you want to, but I figured this would be a good place to stop. The only thing I have for you at the end of this presentation is just a few FYIs for you to know when using the chatbots. So that you can get the best experience out of these as possible. So let me go ahead and go over them. I've got 5 points to cover, and I should hopefully not take too long to cover these. So, point 1. When using AI chatbots, never, ever, ever share PII or personally identifying information with the bot. And, I mean, okay, yeah, you pay for it if you're paying for it. If you're not, you're still gonna have to keep an eye on this. But if you're paying for it, yes, they have your credit card, which means they can trace you back to with other information and stuff, and they'll know who you are and so forth. But what I'm thinking of, okay, they got your credit card information, but I'm thinking more like passwords, health issues, unless you don't care if the bot knows about it or other people know about it and stuff. Personal things that you don't want anybody else to know or they shouldn't know. Things like that. Other things would be items like company secrets, insider information, stuff that's classified, especially if you're in the military or the government. Do not publicly share anything that's classified or, government information or whatever like that. Don't share that with the bot. So, and that all boils down to if you either don't want someone to know, or it's not something that they should know, or it's not publicly available information, do not share it with the bot, period. Remember, this is Security 101. Whatever you put on the internet stays on the internet. No matter how it's released, deleted, you can burn down the data center, someone's still going to have a copy of it somewhere. So once it's out there, it never leaves. So be sure that whatever you're putting out there are things you don't care about other people seeing. Like when I was showing you the idea generation where you're working with the bot, tossing ideas back and forth, trying to flesh out a story idea or deepen it to where you can actually work with it. It's not just like a couple sentences on a page. It's actually something that has some depth to it. And you don't care if somebody sees that, like maybe somebody hacks OpenAI, for example, or they hack Google or Microsoft. Because Yahoo, I don't think, has a chat bot, but I know Microsoft does. But let's say they hack Microsoft and they get into the databases and, they've got your idea discussion. Oh, no, what are you going to do? Who cares? It was an idea discussion, And if you don't care if somebody sees that, go ahead and put it in the bot. If you care if somebody sees it, keep it on, keep it close to your chest and don't let anyone see it. So, just think of it that way. It's basic Security 101. And it's at the same time you have to realize that that you can't just assume that OpenAI and Google and Microsoft and stuff are going to spy on your chats. Do you realize how many billions of chats are done per day? They don't care about you. You're just one person in the cog. Now that doesn't mean somebody can't get in there and find your stuff and use it against you. But you don't have to worry about them like spying on you. What you're looking at is the malicious actor who singles you out for whatever reason and looks for something to use against you. That's why you don't want that out there, because it may not happen to you, but if it does, at least if you don't have it out there, you're protected. And as the old saying goes, the only truly secure computer is one that is buried in 20 feet of concrete. Even then, that's not 100% secure. So, it's just practice good security when you're working with this stuff. Point 2, as I mentioned before, I am not an AI expert. I'm a layman user, just like you guys are. If you need anything that gets into the deep nuts and bolts of AI, there are people out there who are way better than me. My only purpose in sharing this is to show you how I, as a regular user, put GPT and other chatbots to use to help me with my writing, researching stories, elements in them, and so on. So just understand that. That's my little disclaimer. I'm not an expert, so don't take me to the bank on this. Well, of course, even if you take me to the bank, there's not much in there for you to have anyways. Point 3, if you're a regular user of ChatGPT or any of the other bots that come with a subscription, if you're using the bot for more than a few questions a day or a week, then for heaven's sakes, pay for a subscription. Don't be a cheapskate and ride the free lunch wagon. Buy and pay for a subscription if you're going to make good use of it and it's beneficial to you. Because if it's useful to you, or if it's as useful to you as it is to me, the subscription fee you pay is worth the price. I pay $20 a month from OpenAI, or to OpenAI, for ChatGPT. To me, for the amount I use it, it's worth it. Plus, it gives them money to keep operating. It allows ChatGPT to stay online. It allows them to pay their employees and their developers to make, to maintain the bot, to make the bot better, etc., etc. So it's beneficial to them. It's beneficial to you. Don't be cheap. Buy the subscription. Trust me, it's worth it. And it's the honest thing to do. Because, like I say, if you're doing more than just a couple of questions a day or a week, you're stealing. I'll say it that way. It might sound a little blunt or cruel, but that's what you're doing. You're stealing. It's okay if you do a couple of them and it's just kind of a little side tool or something you're experimenting with. But once you start getting in there and start making hardcore use of it, pay for the subscription and be the better person. Point 4. The bot will eventually insult you. And I'm simply saying this just as a warning, because I know some of you will get really upset and get your panties in a knot because the bot at some point in time goes in and insults you or insults your beliefs or insults your family. It's not intentional. It's just an unfortunate fact about the bots being what they are. There will be some point in time, possibly regularly, although I haven't seen that particular. I've seen it in more of an occasional sense. But it will insult you, and it may insult you deeply. Like I say, don't take it personally. This isn't something where the bot is prejudiced or hates you, is out to get you, or anything like that. It's just part of how the bot operates. It's due to your interactions with it triggering certain types of replies that will, unintentionally insult you, even though it doesn't mean to and it's not intending to. And, and again, when I say that's something that you did while you were interacting with it, does not imply you did something wrong. You could, just use this as an example. You could say, I like brown coffee, and the bot says, I like black coffee. And, oh, I'm insulted. Black coffee's, you're over there like, I'm insulted. Black coffee is horrible. No, the bot is trying to be personable. You're the one taking the insult, even though there's no insult given. So, the other thing you have to remember is that the bot is trained on a wide range of information. Some of that information in the wild will be friendly to you. Some of it you will find insulting. All of that is in just one great big conglomerated pile. So, depending on what you say will trigger it to pull out those bits of information and put them in front of you. And, as a result, you are going to actually, oh, I'm insulted. Don't be. Trust me. It's not intentional. So, it's a thing. It's going to happen. Roll with it. Just accept the fact that it did that and keep going. If it gets to be a problem, you can curate it away from those things. Just be like, well, okay, I'd like to just state here real quick what you were saying to me about such and such insults me. Would you please not say it? The bottom? Okay, no problem. He'll take that off the table and you can go on your conversation. So, and if it happens occasionally, don't worry about it. If it becomes regular, you can curate that out of the conversations just with a simple, very nice, casual, friendly, okay, I know you're not trying to do this intentionally, but you're insulting me by saying this. Would you please stop saying that? And bot's like, okay. Because remember, it will learn. So it'll be like, okay, I'll just take that off the table and we won't talk about that. Point 5 and the final point is if you have long replies to the chatbot that will take some time to create or may need multiple levels of editing before you're ready to pass it to the bot, write it out somewhere. Toss it in Notepad. Copy it or copy it into a Word doc or something like that. Put it. Jeez, hiccups here. Sorry about that. Breakfast decided it wanted to say hi. Anyways, where was that? Oh, yeah, write it out somewhere like a notepad or Word doc or whatever like that. It helps you better with formulating your thoughts, how you're, what you're saying to the bot and stuff like that. Because you try to write it up in that little chat window, and it's going to get immensely difficult to keep everything straight. Especially if you're trying to expound on something or explain something. If you can see it all in one sheet or one page, or or you have it, like it may take multiple pages to do the message. It's like, that's fine. Spread out your story, or not the story, but what you're trying to say to the bot, what you're trying to teach it, so on and so forth. Spread that out in the doc, then copy that reply once you're finished with it into the chat box, hit enter, and let it do its thing. And to me, like I say, you can do it in the chat box, but then there's been times that I've been writing and fat fingered the return key, and I'm halfway through, and now you just created a mess you got to clean up, because now you've only got half the story, and you've got to go back and start over with the bot. Like on GPT, you can at least edit the reply, but the problem is you've already sent a half reply to the bot. Now you've got a full reply, and that kind of creates problems in and of itself, because you don't have full control over your prompt. You've got a half prompt and a full prompt, and the bot can get confused because of that. So, writing it all out outside of the bot and getting everything straight first, and then copying it in if it's a long reply, that's the best way to do it. You don't have to do that with everything, but the longer the reply, the more likely you are to need to take it outside of the bot's little prompt box, organize your thoughts, and then bring it back and give it to the bot. So anyways, that's all I have for this episode and for AI writing in general. The other two items of using AI in writing, which are AI voices and AI editing, those were pretty well covered in the intro, as there's not a lot more to say about them than what I've already covered. Even so, if you want to discuss them more, or you want me to actually come out and discuss them in a video, let me know. I'd be more than happy to tell you about the ways to use them, advantages and pitfalls, and so on. I just need to know if you guys want that or not. So I appreciate all of you guys. I thank you for listening. And all I would ask in return is that you give me a like. If you haven't subscribed and hit the notification bell. And which is stupid that they require that, but hey. So just like it. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell if you haven't. Comment if you liked it, if you didn't like it, what you liked about it, what you'd like to see me do and stuff like that. Just go ahead and put those out there, because those help me, and they help you guys because it allows you guys to see more content like this, so that you can be better helped. It gives me a better idea of what things you're wanting to hear from me about and learn from me, because like I said, I've been doing this for, let's see, at this point it's been 33 years. Yeah, I've been doing this for 33 years, and there's a lot of information and other stuff that I've learned along the way that I can share with you guys. I'm just scratching the surface at this point. So anyways, I will catch you guys later and see you in the next video.